Art has always been an important part of my life. Whether I'm making a movie or advocating for a client, I'm a storyteller. I'm always looking for a way to tell someone's story authentically. Whether I'm in court, whether I'm sending it to an immigration officer, a file, or whether I'm making a movie. There are no attorneys in my family. I just fell into it. Between am I going to be a therapist or an attorney, and I literally flipped the coin. I hadn't seen you in years. And
you gave me that big hombre hermano hug, you know?
I grew up watching films that had anti-heroes, the underdog, the invisible person. That's kind of how I fell into the defense side of things. And that's just kind of how I've been as an artist and as a attorney, as an advocate. I think all attorneys should be doing something artistic. We have the best stories. We've dealt with interesting characters on all sides of the spectrum. On the side of mercy for the person who may or may not have any voice against the system. I basically made a Tarantino Scorsese homage, telling a story about a drug trafficker who's about to go to prison.
A lot of the men who commit this violence, they find a way to justify. How can you defend those people?
A lot of these people are people that society would shun, ignore, look down on, judge. We know the details. Because when you work on a case, you got to get the details. You should absolutely be in one of my movies.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Bar, and today we are thrilled to have a friend, advocate, and lawyer, Alex Kannan. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to the show.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
It's an honor to know you, my friend. And so please tell the audience, who is Alex Kannan? Tell us a little bit about maybe your early experiences in life and how that's contributed to being the man and the advocate you are today.
I'm originally from Chicago, a Spanish-speaking attorney. We focus on immigration, criminal defense, and personal injury cases. Running parallel to that, art has always been an important part of my life. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a music composer as well. And whether I'm making a movie or advocating for a client, I'm a storyteller at the end of the day. And as my friend says, facts tell, stories sell. So I'm always looking for a way to tell someone's story authentically from that person's point of view, in that person's words, whether I'm in court, whether I'm sending it to an immigration officer, a file, or whether I'm making a movie. People are complex. Life is complex. So how do we tell that story? And that's what I do. And that's what I'm passionate about.
How did you get involved with the arts? Was it something maybe in your teenage years? Was it something love at first sight? Tell us about that journey.
My parents introduced me to movies at a young age, classic movies. And I learned to appreciate the art of cinema as a child. And not only the art of cinema, but music as well. So I grew up watching all these classic films, and they kind of, music and cinema kind of became ingrained in my DNA. And that's why it's something I never took a course for, I never took a class for, but it's something that has essentially become my therapy through the years. And now I've been able to actually make movies, which has been a dream come true for me, as you witnessed on Saturday.
Absolutely. I was blessed to go to a screening of a movie Alex made. Incredible experience. And you talked a little bit about your father and how he exposed you to that. And you mentioned a movie that you saw that changed your life. Do you remember what you talked about? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Several. Was it The Thin Red Line?
That's the one.
Yeah. So The Thin Red Line was a very important film because that movie was it was the first experience I had where a movie showed visual poetry on the screen. So what you're watching is visual poetry, and you're also learning about the other, because the movie is a war between the Americans and the Japanese in World War II, and the movie is shot from the Americans' perspective, and the Japanese are shown in the beginning as the enemy, but then later on in the film also explores who they are, who is the enemy, who is the other, who knows what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's evil, and then you have the juxtaposition, which is inherent in life. You have, for example, a juxtaposition between horror and beauty. So there's a battlefield, soldiers are getting killed, then you see a butterfly fly up. And that's how life is. And I was blown away by that. And that did not just shape my perspective of art, but also my perspective of life. So I'll be experiencing something and I'll think, that's a Thin Red Line moment.
I think some of the most interesting and successful people are people who can mash some of their passions together. But when did you start thinking about becoming a lawyer? Were there life experiences that contributed to that desire? Tell us about it.
There are no attorneys in my family, and I just fell into it. I remember it was between, am I going to be a therapist or an attorney? And I literally flipped the coin and I went with law.
You literally flipped the coin.
And my very good friend,
wow,
Dr. Ricky Pope, who was also at the screening, was also in the movie. He's a therapist. He was going to be a lawyer. And I think he flipped a coin. He wound up being a therapist. So it's
Look
really
at
interesting.
this. Wow. So let's talk about criminal defense. I think many of these concepts you definitely apply
Mm-hmm.
in that side of the practice. How can you defend those people, Alex? Right? Tell the audience about that because there's a whole other side
Sure.
to representing a client in that position.
I worked on criminal defense cases ranging from misdemeanors to life top cases, felony cases, right? And then when work on a heavy case, for example, I worked on a murder trial, and people, friends will ask, well, did he do it? Did he do it? And, it's not about whether the person did it or not. The point is, can the prosecution prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt? Right? And that's the trial aspect. In terms of not the trial aspect, if you're going to settle the case, well, now I get to do storytelling. I have to show the judge, I have to show the prosecutor who is this person as a human being, because this person is just a number in a long pile of numbers on a very long docket in San Diego, especially if it's downtown San Diego. So I need to establish who is this as a person. And interestingly enough, I had a case with my friend Jose Orozco, who was also in the movie. And you see all my friends are in the movie.
Yes.
And Jose is an amazing criminal defense attorney like you. He was a public defender, so he has years of trial experience, and he's been my friend for over 15 years. So I work with him on my criminal defense cases. We had a case where a gentleman, no criminal history, Jehovah's Witness, and he was driving home one night after coming back from a party. Was he under the influence of alcohol? No, he had consumed alcohol. He had his kids in the back. He fell asleep at the wheel. And he crashed into one car. That car crashed into another car. That crashed into a van. That crashed into another car. Long story short, somebody died.
Oh, boy.
Somebody was permanently paralyzed. A couple people had to go to ICU. He had to go to ICU. His children had to go to ICU. And no criminal history. He had a litany of charges. And we were stuck. We were stuck basically in terms of negotiating. This case was out of Riverside, so we were stuck in terms of negotiating with the prosecutor. We were at one number. Prosecutor was the judge. They were at another number. And we had gone back and forth with the lawyerly negotiations. And I had just finished my second film. I have 3 films. First is La Cita. The second film is called El Mago. The third film is 35. I had just finished my second film, El Mago. So it was fresh in my mind. We had the screening. Everybody was happy. We were chilling. And we were about to wrap up this case. And then me and Jose were just saying, what do? We want to do more for this. We really want to get to that number. And then I came up with this idea because I just finished El Mago. I said, what if we film a video testimonial of him? What if we film a mitigation video? Because we've sent mitigation packets. You did it before. You send mitigation packets with letters, with proof of employment, proof of church activity, proof of good moral character, that this is a person who, so please have mercy on us. I said, this is bad because somebody died, and then his kids love him, And what we were trying to do in the case was he had several charges, vehicular man. Okay, but he also had the felony child abuse charge. But we knew his sons loved him over the moon, and they were making him do time for that. And we said, look, they need their dad. Their parents are separated. They're close to their mom, but they need their dad. They're teenagers. Have him plead guilty to the crime, but don't make him do extra time. He's already doing time for the other. And the prosecutor said, no, he has to do time in addition to what happened to the victim and the other time for injuries to his kids. So that's when I thought, let's make a mitigation video focusing on his relationship with the kids.
So that video you sent me was a video you sent to the prosecutor?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Great tactic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she got back to us and she said, this was very powerful. I've never seen it done before. Good job. And, he won't have to, he'll plead guilty. He won't have to do time for that.
Look
so
at that.
we were able to shave off a couple years. And he should be out next year.
Wow.
So yeah, and it was we really hit a home run with that case, and that was because of that video.
Because of the video. It was so unique and touching in a special way. The prosecutor probably hadn't seen something like that before.
Hearing his son say, my dad always teaches me, don't use your fists, use your words instead. You can't communicate that in a mitigation letter from an attorney, not even a letter of support, even if the son writes it.
Right.
But while he's saying that and you see them both walking on the beach, yeah, it's a movie, but that's real life, and that's what we can do with art.
Yeah. And you've clearly made that one of your life missions, using art to be an advocate. In this case, you got a real result, tangible result. You shaved off 24 months of prison time that person's going to be able to spend with their
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. It was amazing.
let's get into that gift. Let's get into that passion. Tell
Thank
us
you.
about your movies. We spoke about 35. Start with that, and just how you've used this passion to advocate for the communities that you hold so dear to your heart.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, it's just as an attorney, same rationale fits as a filmmaker, as an artist. We have to give a voice to the person that doesn't have a voice, but I want the story told from that person's point of view. So my first film was La Cita, it's Spanish for the appointment, and it was a 14-minute docudrama that followed a transgender sex worker through her daily life in Tijuana, Mexico. It was a very matter of fact. For the audience, it wasn't matter of fact because it did make an impact for the people who watched it. And importantly, I was there. I filmed it. It was filmed in her words. She helped tell her story. And it was really sad because the film was, in essence, a tribute to a young transgender woman named Janine who got murdered. And I mentioned that on Saturday. Janine got murdered in 2020, and her assailants were never apprehended. So, and the protagonist in La Cita was friends with Janine. So I said, let's make this a remembrance for her as well. So made the film. It did well. It screened at film festivals. It won awards. And that was that. My second film, El Mago, that was more of a fun genre piece where I pulled from some criminal defense cases I worked on. And I basically made kind of like a Tarantino, Scorsese homage, to those directors by telling a story about a drug trafficker who's about to go to prison. He's serving his last day of freedom. He's going to go to prison, but what he doesn't know is the drug cartel has sent a hitman to kill him. So does he make it to
Wow!
prison or does he
Wow!
die?
Wow! Wow!
But now in hindsight, I look at it. That was really the warm up for the big 135. I worked with the transgender community a lot, and a transgender immigrant. There's a lot of dynamics when you're working with a transgender immigrant individual from Mexico, getting adjusted to life in America. There's a lot to unpack, a lot to unpeel, a lot of trauma to get through. And I've represented individuals in asylum cases, seen some very crazy stories. And it's kind of like whether it's in those cases or other criminal defense cases or like U visa cases or cases you see where people are being victimized in brutal ways, I ask myself, what am I supposed to do with this? Now I've done the case and the case is over. But when you're prepping a case, whether you're in court or you're doing the best job you can to send out a packet to USCIS or representing an individual in a criminal defense case, we have to kind of internalize. We really have to get to know the case, and we have to get to know and a lot of that's trauma. So how do we deal with it? And that's where a film like 35 gave me the chance to just basically zero in on all this. What am I supposed to do with this information? It's still stored back here. Let's put it into a movie. Let's tell a story and let's show it to the world, basically.
So that vision really comes from information that you were exposed to during your time representing that community.
Firsthand.
You started with La Cita, like a 14-minute movie,
Yeah.
about the plight of those sex workers, and then you really exploded it onto 35. Why did you decide to focus on that group? And you mentioned some of the experiences, but somebody can say, well, you've seen so much, during your time as an advocate and lawyer. So why did you decide to give that group special attention?
I feel, especially now under this current political climate, they're the most marginalized groups of people. And when you take, a lot of people are, not looked fondly upon by this current administration, right? Folks with no papers, transgender individuals. This whole movie started because I came across a news story some years ago about a border patrol officer who in Texas, he was a serial killer. And one of the people he murdered was a transgender sex worker. And he had a wife and kids. He had multiple properties, very successful. He had a pension, very successful guy, but he was a serial killer. And the reason why I first wrote the script, the movie was just supposed to be the interrogation scene. That was originally, the whole movie was just going to be a 30-minute short film, because when I watched the end of the interrogation of the real individual, when he was done, he confessed to all the murders. He was confessing as if he was proud of what he did.
Huh.
And at the end, on the video you see with the cam, They bring him a burger, and he just scarfs the burger down.
Oh, this is the movie you watched,
There wa-
and the interview you watched.
the interrogation, and then
Yeah. Okay. Because
I said, well, that's an image that has to make it into a movie. A serial killer who just gleefully talked about killing his for hours, and he's so hungry he just eats a burger. I mean, scarfs it down.
yeah.
So from there, 35 started, and then after that, I worked in my, homage to my favorite movies, Silence of the Lambs and Scorsese movies. Let's bring in the, Michael Mann detective drama aspect and all that, and then let's also tell the story from the deceased. Let's tell the story from Erica's perspective, and that's, I've known people like Erica.
Yeah.
I've known people like Erica who are dealing with the same struggle she dealt with every day, and they're over. People like Erica are overlooked, except for the one purpose of who someone like Erica is. I mean, thankfully, we have other transgender individuals who are being successful. They're in business, they're in politics, but in a niche is someone like an undocumented immigrant transgender sex worker. There's a lot of layers to peel apart, and I know people like Erica, and I know that they don't have a voice. So at least I can, as an attorney, as the movie says, she's a human being. I could show them as a human being, and I can also do that as an artist.
So for people who haven't seen the movie yet, so tell us about Erica and the plot without giving too many spoilers. But
Sure. Yeah. So it's about these two veteran police detectives who are interviewing a Border Patrol supervisor who has been suspected. He's a chief suspect of murdering an immigrant transgender Mexican sex worker named Erica near the border. And what they discovered things during the interrogation which surprised them. And then from then on, we kind of take a journey. We take a journey with the characters, and at the end, we're stuck in a theme I've always grappled with my whole life, and that's moral ambiguity. What's right? What's wrong? Who's to say what's right? Does scripture, does doctrine, does society say what's right and what's wrong? So
Right.
moral ambiguity is kind of my obsession, and that's an interesting intersection with the law.
yeah,
I've lived with this film for 2 years, and it's a very heavy film, and it's just a very sad film where the protagonist is murdered, and I spent so much of the film humanizing her, and I really came to care about her. I really came to care about her, and I came to, in a way, love her. And how do you let go of somebody that you've come to love, somebody that you've come to care about? How do I let go? I'm having a tough time
Look at
doing that. And this is something.
Even though you're friends with the actress,
Absolutely.
but it's the
Yeah.
it's the character. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
look at that.
it's the character. It's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing.
And one heck of a plot twist. Several, but there was one that really got me. I didn't see it coming.
I was really happy that you're not the only one who said that. Other people were surprised too. So I'm really glad that people were surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing you touched on as well is, a lot of the men who commit this violence, they find a way to justify it, right? And you really got into that without giving spoilers, but
Sure.
can you talk about generally, like, why are these perpetrators generally able to get away with this, both on the Tijuana side, but also here it happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with an individual who has no voice in society, it's take the concept of a bully and multiply it by a million, and add viciousness and add violence and add murder, and that's what you have basically. You're just someone who is very insecure and dealing with a lot of issues inside. Instead of dealing with the issues, takes it out on the low-hanging fruit,
Mm.
the easy target. And it's always easy to use something like religion as a justification for one's own, disgusting, evil motive.
Right.
And it's just unfortunate that people tend to capitalize on that by beating up on the easy targets.
Alex, this was, definitely a work, from your heart, a passion project, and it's a full-blown movie. I mean, how many minutes was it?
Good question. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, a
Yeah.
full-blown movie. And so tell us, because you're a full-time attorney,
Yeah.
right? And so tell us, how long it took, how it was, how did you get the actors? Talk about that. It was
Great.
a great
Yeah,
story.
this is wonderful. So in my second film, El Mago, I just had all my friends act in the movie. And
How do you convince your friends to just, hey, come act in my movie? This is
let's dial it back. What happened was all my friends saw La Cita, and they said, shoot, this was really good. Oh, and by the way, I made all 3 movies with an iPhone. If you know how done with an iPhone. Yeah.
wait, all 3, including 35?
Yeah, 35 was with an iPhone.
35 was with an
Isn't that
Oh,
crazy? And
I
and the
can't
sound was good,
believe
right? I
it.
just had a small mic I attached, and my friends saw La Cita, and they said that was powerful. I would love to do something with you. And then they jumped on El Mago. And when they all see, and it's a good question because why would, well, first of all, they're friends. When you're filming, it's so much fun. It's such a fun, when you're creating art with somebody else, it's just something you don't really do anymore as an adult. It's like
Yeah,
something like
right.
your parents would make, or like as a kid, you do sports or you take instrument classes or you do acting classes, but then now it's time to be an adult. It's time to
Right. We
grow up.
grew up,
We
man.
grew up.
Yeah,
We grew up. You got family, you got work, you got bills to pay, mortgage. Who has time for that stuff? There's a time and a place for everything. Now your time is to be a provider, an advocate, and a husband. You'd be surprised when we all film. It's like we're kids again.
I bet it's a blast.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and they're all from different walks of life. My friends in the movies, they're attorneys, they're insurance, they're real estate agents, corporate attorneys. They do all this different stuff. And so they saw La Cita, and then they said, Mago, let's do it. And then when they all see themselves like in a screening on the big screen, oh, they're sold.
Oh, they're hooked. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like this is an experience of a lifetime.
yeah,
And then when you're able to make it to festivals with strangers watching, they say, "Whoa, this is really cool."
absolutely.
So, and then after that, any chance they get, I want to work on this, I want to work on that. And the cool thing is, I pick my friends for the roles, knowing I see them, because like all my friends, everybody has a certain gait about them, a certain way
Right.
of it. So I see that, and I see you could play this person, you could, and they're just natural fits. So
That
then
is
we're not
awesome.
even really, no one's really memorizing lines because a lot of it is improv.
Wow,
Like we
really?
have the script,
Okay.
and I was like, just get the general nature of it. Like say this thing for the plot point, but just get the general. I want you to not memorize the words. I want you to feel the character, and that's why they all came out natural in the movie.
They did great.
They all fit, and they're not professional actors.
That was amazing.
Isn't
That
that
was
cool?
amazing. How long did it take? How did you manage that with family and a full-time practice?
Yeah, yeah. 35 took 2 years to make.
Wow.
And I always tell everybody who is interested in hearing about the intersection of the art and law. I say, hey, for me, it's just 30 minutes every day of something artistic. Whether it's I play music, I compose music, I edit a scene in a movie, I write a scene in a script. Just promise yourself 30 minutes every day to work on something artistic to keep that alive.
And speaking of exercise, I found out this guy boxes and he does jujitsu
Yeah.
too, and this is
Yeah.
great.
Well,
Yeah.
there are many forms of. I I got a lot in my mind, so I need therapy, and I have many different forms of therapy. I have a therapist who's in Tecate.
That's a great man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so then I have a therapist who's in Tecate, and then I have, the exercise is important to, keep the blood flowing and keep yourself on edge and keep yourself sharp. Jujitsu and boxing is great because problem solving, litigation, problem client, opposing counsel, problem solving. How do you deal with the city government rejects your case or you get a
Mhm.
denial? How do you fix it? How do you deal with an irrational person? Improvise, problem solving. I think it's always important to just basically put aside time for that every day. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think as lawyers and, high achieving professionals, we kind of put that in the back burner.
And what I've been seeing with attorneys, especially since I'm seeing my attorney friends are such good actors, like we all have so many stories to tell.
Yes.
You have so many stories to tell, going back to your public defender days.
Absolutely.
So I think all attorneys should be doing something artistic, even if you paint or if you just write a book, write a story. I mean, that's what John Grisham did. Or make a movie, write a screenplay.
Yeah.
We have the best stories. We've dealt with interesting characters on all sides of the spectrum. And a lot of these people are people that society would shun, ignore, look down on, judge,
Yeah.
consider to be evil,
Yeah.
And then we can make our own, and then that's how we make our own taxi driver. We make our own mean streets. We make our own amores perros, because we see that and we know the details. Because when you work on a case, you got to get the details.
Of course.
And that's what makes a convincing character.
Do you remember your first trial?
First trial. Well, yes, my first trial in criminal court was actually a DUI felony case in
Okay.
Chicago.
It was in Chicago.
It was in
Okay.
Chicago,
Wow.
yeah. And I believe it was, co-counseled it with my friend Sal Lopez, and we got not guilty.
Look at that.
It was all about the video. The judge watched the video. And
You did it. You made a video?
no.
Oh.
The judge watched the video and evidence from
Gotcha.
the arrest report. Yeah,
Ah,
and yeah, we made our arguments, cross-examined the police officer.
That's a great first case.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
great first trial.
yeah. And then in San Diego, I co-counseled a murder trial, which was actually an old case. It was an
Okay.
old case from 10 years prior.
Wow.
It was a gang stabbing in Southeast San Diego, and there were 5 people involved. 4 people were caught, and they pled guilty 10 years prior.
Mm.
And then our client fled to Mexico, and law enforcement officers apprehended him in Tijuana 10 years after. They reopened the case, and we took it to trial. It was a long trial. He was found guilty of second-degree murder, but not guilty of first.
How do you manage, client expectation, family as you're going through a trial? I mean, you have to stay focused and you have to do your best.
Really important. You know how it is important to try to have the client understand expectations from the get-go. As attorneys, we can't ethically guarantee any outcomes. You know how that goes, right?
Of course.
And I think it's really important from the get-go, getting a feel for the client, understanding you with your expectations. So it's always best to undersell and overperform. You know that. Yeah.
Do you enjoy being in trial?
I do. I haven't done trial in quite some time. I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it because as a small business owner, the business does, I am not available for, it could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right?
Correct.
I mean, I co-counsel my trials. I work with my friends. Like you saw Jose in the movie. I work with him, and it's wonderful working with my friends. But still, I've always kept it's been 10 years, and my law firm, I've always kept it as a small neighborhood law office. That's the way I like it.
Okay.
I've had opportunities to scale and grow it, but that's just not for me. But at the same time, what we were just talking about now, everything falls on me. So someone wants to meet with me, a consultation, a client, I need to review filings and things like that. So that's why. But I haven't had a trial in quite some time. But when it does happen, trial can be very, it can be very threatening, and it could be exhilarating at the same time.
Yes.
Because an opening and closing statement is you're telling a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like it, I think, in the practice of law to have that experience.
This is what one goes to law school for, basically, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think one of the things that we can unpack here from what you said, it's a good opportunity for us to talk about the entrepreneurs of the future, right? Whether it's a lawyer who is thinking about going out on his own or has partnered up with somebody. You mentioned you wanted to be the neighborhood, kind of defense practice versus scaling, and both are fine. And I think you have to define what you want. But tell us why you decided to go out on your own and why you want to remain smaller to be able to serve your community.
For some people, how the saying goes, more money, more problems, right? So I think I just kind of figure out, I have employees, my staff, are they doing well? Am I doing well financially? Are they doing well mentally? As long as we got that taken care of, the money is the last of our concerns. Because if everything else works, we're doing well mentally, I'm taking care of my health, financially we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because as long as we're doing well, that means we're being productive, we're working, we're doing what we have to do to generate more business. And then from there, we just take care of ourselves. The money works itself out in the end.
How was it opening your practice? Because I don't know about your law school, but mine didn't have any courses, to teach me how to, be a business owner and a lawyer.
Me neither. It was just baptism by fire.
Yeah.
There were no jobs. I just started doing court appearances for attorneys, and I learned as I went along.
Yeah.
And then I just opened up my own practice.
And how was that, figuring out that there's other wheels that have to continue spinning? You have to now market and sale, and you need staff at some point, right?
Everything was a learning process, but it was a fun learning process.
Did you and you continue to enjoy being a lawyer entrepreneur?
I do. I certainly enjoy the entrepreneur part more than the attorney, because the practice of law itself, it's fascinating, but it's very stressful, as you know.
Yeah.
With entrepreneur is fun because it gives me flexibility. I could be here. I can hang out with you.
Yes.
It's good. Yeah, you're not in a big firm
Yeah.
with billing hours and pressure and things like we all have pressures. I have pressures in the office and stuff, but different kinds of pressures. But the important thing is, my paralegals do such good work. If I don't have an appointment for an afternoon, I could go home early, spend time with my son, or I have the bike in the car. I can go for a bike ride on the bay, or I can go home. Or I can go work on some music. So it's good. The good thing is, I think the important thing is, trying to just fill up whatever little free time you have with something productive.
Absolutely. That's key. Let's go back to trials and cases. So you also do some personal injury, civil litigation. Tell us about that. And I'd like to hear the story about the sock that you mentioned at this film screening.
Yeah. So with the personal injury cases, that comes down to, again, we're humanizing our client. We're showing the insurance companies, they have an algorithm they're working with. So we work with my we work with them in terms of showing them who is the client as a person and how bad are the damages. If we can't get anywhere, then we file. We usually get the case resolved in mediation or depositions.
Okay.
I personally have not had a personal injury case proceed to a trial.
Okay.
You know,
Personal injury cases, tell us about some cases you've handled and maybe some tips for people if they're injured somewhere, what's some of the first things that they should do, mistakes to avoid?
Yeah. The first thing, always important thing to do is if you're injured, get treatment as soon as possible. Take pictures of the damage to the car, get the other person's insurance information. Even if they say, I have a friend who will take care of this, just always get their insurance information because you never know. And report the accident, obviously, and don't talk to any insurance adjuster about your injuries. At least speak with an attorney beforehand.
Perfect.
One case we had was a lady on her birthday. Her husband picked her up. He got out of work early, picked her up. They were going to go get breakfast. They got rear-ended, and she passed away in the accident.
Oh, man.
The day of her birthday. It was a very sad case, and what is known as a wrongful death case.
Yeah.
So, yes, financially, we got a good outcome for the family, but it was just a devastating case all around, unfortunately.
Of course. Yeah. Tell us, what it's like to represent a family in that situation. From that first meeting, it's heavy.
It is, yes. A lot of it is just listening. We listen, answer any questions, ask them, and then ask them. In any case, ask them if you want to proceed with us, you want to hire us, and we take care of them throughout the whole process. We don't just work really hard to sign them up and then just disappear just to get the money later. It's important for us to do good work and make them feel heard, because that's how, one, they're happy, and two, that's how we get business in the future as well. Yeah. We can continue helping people.
Alex, hopefully we're going to be in touch frequently now. I really think we are. But if we have a conversation in 5 years, so we're going to put this on a calendar, because I'm going to see you a lot, between now and in 5 years. But we're having, this little update conversation in 5 years. What are some updates you're going to give me about your life, about your practice, about Alex, about the filmmaker?
Well, regarding work, hopefully everything keeps going the way it is. We're good. Hopefully in 5 years, I've closed the chapter on 35 because I'm having a tough time doing that emotionally.
If 3L Alex, in other words, last year of law school, Alex Kannan is here before you, what would you say to him? Advice, words of love.
Just be patient, and don't take anything personally, even though you're going to keep taking things personally.
Yeah. And what would you tell him as far as, because 3L Alex already had the passion for the film and for the arts and also for, being an advocate for the community. Anything specific you would tell him?
Don't give up the artistic hobby. Don't give it up no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Why not? This is important.
Because look at what we did 10 years later.
Of course.
And this is the high you get from creating something artistic it's euphoric. I don't know how to do it, It's like you finish that brief, you finish that case, it's still work.
Yeah.
But when you do something for the love of it and you see the way a scene comes together with the music, that pleasure you get is nothing really like it.
I'm sure there are other attorneys like you who have this interest, this passion. Maybe they're more proficient in it. Maybe some aren't, but they have this dream or they're dreaming of having the dream. They don't dare to say it or even say it out loud. But what would you say to an attorney like that? Somebody who is interested in maybe making a movie or being in a movie or doing something, to advocate for a cause they believe in, but they're scared because what's everybody else going to say? I can't do this. I've never done this. Talk to that person.
Just do it. I never took piano lessons. I don't know how to read notes, but you heard the music in the movie.
Outstanding.
Music, yeah. We work with what we have and we get it done. Yeah.
Did you ever go to any kind of film school, take film classes?
Never.
You're serious,
Never,
and you made these movies.
I might have taken one course in college just for fun, but how I make movies is just based on how I watch my favorite movies, how I study them.
How do you start? I have this idea, and next thing you put it.
Write something. Just write something. Just get it down on the page. I've had people come up to me with ideas. I want to do this. I want to do that. I said, well, write it. It's fine. And I'm not being pretentious, but I don't know. I don't know the story you want to tell. I'll direct your story. I've never directed someone else's script.
Oh, interesting.
I've always written my own stuff.
Okay.
If you want to work on something, sure, but you got to get something down first. Yeah. It all starts with writing, like you heard about with Cita. It was that image I had in my head of a transgender woman walking in the street, right, with the rose in her hand. The story came from that image. write down an image. If you're an artist, storyboard an image.
Any more projects you might do with films and the Hispanic community, whether it's victims of trafficking or other things that you're interested
But right now, with everything going on with immigration, I have to. There's a lot of stress and a lot of negativity. So I need to work on something regarding that.
in? Yes, for sure. Tell us about that. What's going on in these times? You're also involved in immigration practice. What are your
Yeah.
clients feeling? What are you feeling?
A lot of people are just coming from an irrational place of fear, as you know. Right now, the way things are, people don't know what's an emergency and what's not an emergency. And then here in San Diego, where people go to get their green card interviews at USCIS, here in San Diego, ICE agents are arresting them. That's not happening in New York or Florida.
I never saw this happening in San Diego, but here it is.
Yeah, it's happening in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's not happening in LA yet or San Bernardino. San Diego, I also heard, I think in New Orleans, or I don't know, there's one other place in Louisiana it's happening. I think, or North Carolina.
They just handpicked some offices, and San Diego happened to be
Random
on the
stuff.
list.
Yeah, it started just Sunday, the announcement was made. Monday, they started doing it.
Wow.
I mean, that's just not cool.
Yeah. Explain to the folks, why something like that doesn't make sense, why it didn't happen before, and why is it
Yeah.
happening now?
Well, first of all, they started this whole issue in immigration court. They terminate proceedings and then they arrest them.
Yeah.
Okay, that was not cool.
At all.
Okay, so I get what the government's doing. They're exploiting the loophole. Fine. Okay, that's not cool, but whatever. But then at USCIS, this is the administrative office. This is where people go to get their green cards. You have people who are visa overstays, so they're here illegally, unlawfully, but they qualify for a green card because they have a spouse,
Of course.
an immediate relative who's a
course.
U.S. citizen.
So if I'm a USCIS immigration officer and I see a couple, U.S. citizen and foreign national, the foreign national overstayed, could be 6 months, could be 10 years, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And they work without authorization. But because they married the U.S. citizen, do I, as the immigration officer, do I have the authority to waive that because now they're married to a U.S. citizen?
Of course, under the Immigration Nationality Act, 245A, absolutely, yeah.
So why arrest them?
What the officers are doing here, have you heard about the way they do it here in San Diego?
Not specifically about.
Yeah, so the officer, they conduct the interview.
Oh, is it a few minutes before they're like already talking to?
Officers are chatting with their supervisors. The supervisor tells them, tell me when you're 5 minutes out. And then the officer, they do the whole interview. They approve the I-130. They finish the interview. They say, wait here. They walk out and ICE agent comes in. They're done with the interview. They qualify with the 45 getting approved.
Yeah.
They come in, the ICE agent arrests them.
What message do you have for immigrants watching all of this, and maybe they're in proceedings themselves, or maybe they have a pending application? What to expect? I mean, there's a lot of scare tactics. At the same time, the law does work. It is on our side. What do you say to them?
Yeah, just be patient and find an attorney you can trust to at least consult with.
What do you think about, as far as litigation, the law that, kind of gives us some hope? Is there something that's going to level the playing field, so to say?
Hopefully by a class action or something.
Yeah.
Based on improper practices by the government.
Yeah. It's my hope, Alex, they start seeing the impact that this is having not only on families, which is not a big priority maybe for the administration, but the economy. And as soon as you say words like economy and businesses, they start to pay a little bit more attention. Yeah. And so businesses and the economy has been affected by this because you're essentially deporting or you're placing a lot of their workforce in removal proceedings. And now it's become tougher for a lot of the people that voted for you. Yeah. So I'm hoping that by that, they'll pay a little bit more attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Alex, as a filmmaker, you've been inspired by, certain directors and certain films. For the lawyers and aspiring lawyers watching us today, any movies that inspired you in your journey to become a lawyer?
No, not really to become a lawyer. And the problem is when I watch legal films involving legal dramas now, I see things that you see things that don't happen in real life.
Did you ever watch Suits?
No, I've heard about it, but yeah,
you didn't get around to it.
No. I haven't seen it. No,
yeah. So as lawyers, you watch it and some cringeworthy parts.
Cringeworthy parts,
I get that
for sure, absolutely, for sure. I would just say focus on your passion as well. Don't if you have, we all have talents. Just focus on those talents.
Yeah. And Alex, any last piece of advice for the lawyers, the law students, and the laypersons who really enjoy some of the stories beyond the bar?
I would just say keep an open mind and be patient and understand that you're a storyteller. We tell stories. That's what we have to do.
Are you interested to know what it's really like to be a lawyer? what that feels like to go through that trial, to represent the client, to go home and to be with your family and to deal with all those pressures. And then you wake up the next day, you have to meet those deadlines. I know I was before I became a lawyer. And so if these stories interest you, if you heard something special today, please share it with your friends, subscribe so we can continue bringing you the stories that really matter, the stories that go beyond the bar.